What up, though? Hola, mi gente. It's your host who in the neighborhood and the streets the most, Jay Hodge with In Your Hood, InYourHood.com, and welcome to the new series and new segment, 10 Toes Down in Your Stomping Grounds. So come walk with me. We 10 toes down. Today we in Sistrunk, and this is Sistrunk Boulevard. So we finna get into the facts, the history, and everything that's rich about this black community, this black area. And here we go. So, Sistrunk is named after the leader, the hero, the icon, the legend, the historic black man himself, Dr. James Sistrunk. And as you can see, this can easily be structured and easily was seen as a place of mass business and a place of a cohesive community. So we're gonna keep going. Dr. James Sistrunk, Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk to be specific. This is Broward County's first black physician trailblazer who founded and co-founded the first black hospital named Providence Hospital in Broward County that he also operated. So as you can see, this area here was it was a booming area, and it still is, because you can see the cars going by, you can see the traffic. So we're gonna keep going with the history and the facts. And this is the fact of the matter. Now, Sistrunk Business Corridor is a proper, esteemed, original name. It is a historical black business district that is the epicenter of black pride, power, Afrocentrism, and nationalism. Now, also, the boulevard, and this is Sistrunk Boulevard, is lengthy, and it goes into Federal US 1 Highway, which Federal US 1 Highway is all the way at the very end, which that's where we be going today. And also, it goes beyond on the opposite end. So, with that being said, it ends at Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue on the other end. So one end goes all the way to US Highway 1, and it goes actually beyond it. But US Highway 1 is just a major road that everybody knows. And if you live in South Florida, you know US 1, because that's like a main artery. And then on the opposite end, going back behind this way, is where you will actually run into Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. Now we're gonna cross the street real quick and we're gonna keep it going. Now, Sistrunk is Fort Lauderdale's oldest, vibrant, proactive black community, fulfilled and comprised of mom and pop small businesses, historic rich landmarks, and strong strengthened families. And you can see that because right here, for example, we have the R.G. Christine building. If you see right here, we have Mama Lucy's Pizzeria. And as we continue to go down Sistrunk, you're not gonna hear nothing but the liveliness of the community. This is a historical black community, and it's one of the oldest. And with that being said, as we go down Sistrunk, you are gonna see what makes it the economic powerhouse that it has been historically, and that it will be restored to. So we're gonna go to get into some more facts and history. Now with that being said, Sistrunk Business Corridor recently had a $15 million infrastructure project executed, with the funding deriving from city, county, and federal levels. So we're gonna do some more walking. Now, Sistrunk is renowned for black art, music, and culture, and entertainment, and for the black community. And you can see, Sistrunk is the main artery. If you can see all the traffic that's coming through here, that's not by coincidence. That is just the effectiveness of this community, and this is, like I said, Sistrunk Business Corridor. So if you're in a business district, you should have this amount of traffic, but this is natural. And this is a community that belongs, like I said, to us. Now, what else do we need to be talking about? Let's talk about it. And this is historical, and this is facts. And we're gonna get into the, like I said, deeper into the history. Sistrunk is long-standing at the center of black culture and rich, triumphant, trailblazing heritage in Fort Lauderdale since the earliest Great Migration from Georgia, South Carolina, and Bahamas more than 100 years ago, providing a close-knit community, providing living essentials, shared values of hard work, integrity, and faith. So let's go. And you can see that. You can see the hard work, you can see the integrity, and you can see the faith of the people that's here, because they out here. It's active. It's active. This is an active black community, very cohesive, very hardworking, and everybody over here is family and has had family and still have family that's been here since the beginning. So we're gonna keep going. For instance, you see right over here, right across the street, we have business. We have a local black business owner. Now, what that is that's something called the it's either Seuss or Sauce. I think it's Seuss or Sauce. Sauce. I believe it's Sauce. Sauce soup, which again is something that's a staple in this community. Something that you will only get here if you want it done the right way, and if you want it made the right way. But like I said, we're gonna keep going down, and you may recognize a landmark from a previous segment that I did and that I do that's called Where's J House Journey in These Streets, where I did the episode at what used to be the Daiquiri Trap, and that is right across here. And we're gonna take it all the way down, because what's happened in this community is people in this community went through a conflict with the city of Fort Lauderdale and with residents that's on the opposite side of the track. And these residents live in a vicinity called Flagler Village. And we're gonna get to Flagler Village, and we're gonna address that near the end of today's episode of 10 Toes Down in Your Stomping Grounds. So, adversity and conquer. The place where Sistrunk ends lies deeply at a traditional dividing line by whites. The dividing line where and is the railroad track, known today as Northeast 6th Street. During segregation, blacks were forbidden from crossing over. They were forbidden from crossing over the railroad tracks after dark, which is now downtown Fort Lauderdale. Crossing the tracks after dark resulted in brutal murdering. And we're gonna keep going, because again, there was conflict over what Sistrunk really is and what Sistrunk really represents. And as you can see over here, we have local black businesses. You hear the music? That's our culture. So with that being said, when you come to Florida and you in Florida, you gotta come through Sistrunk as a black man, woman, and bring black children in here to teach them the history of this area, because this is one of the oldest black communities in America. So with that being said, we're gonna cross the street and we're gonna continue to go through this history. Because this is very critical and crucial to our culture, and this is a very, very critical and crucial piece of the city of Fort Lauderdale, and this community is very and extremely valuable to black culture. And this stems further into our black history and the legacies that we truly have and the lineage that we truly embody each and every day of our lives. So with that being said, we're gonna go through the entire Sistrunk business corridor. And I'm just waiting across the street. Because like I said, it's heavy traffic. This is the business district. This is the business district. This is where all the activeness, all the bonding, all the cohesiveness, all the relationship building, this is where it happens. This is a main road. This is a main road. And this is, like I said, this is not only a strip to the community, this is a strip to the city, because as you can see, when the community of Fort Lauderdale passes through the Sistrunk business corridor, this leads you right to downtown Fort Lauderdale. It leads you right to US 1. So you cannot get around, or really you can't neglect Sistrunk Boulevard. This is that boulevard. This is that street, but this is not only that street. This is that community. And when I say that, I'm meaning it's highly important and it's critical. And like I said, it's the most important district in Fort Lauderdale because of the history and the richness and the people that were here, their family members, their descendants is still here. So this is a place and a perfect place to spend your black dollars, because this money is circulating throughout the black community. It's circulating through this corridor, the Sistrunk business corridor. So let's go. So we here. Get across here safe. So again, named after the leader, hero, icon, legend, historic black man, Dr. James Sistrunk. And his full name, and this is to our ancestors, his full name is Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk. That's who Sistrunk Boulevard is named after. And then again, this is Broward County's first black physician, trailblazer, who founded and co-founded the first black hospital in Broward County that he also operated. So with that being said, Providence Hospital was right here in the Sistrunk business corridor, and this was the only hospital that was not only black owned but serviced black residents and black people in Broward County. Because yes, you know the history and everybody knows about segregation. Everybody knows about racism. Everybody knows about the Jim Crow era. And guess what? Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk, out of all that discrimination, that prejudice, that racism, that hatred, and that hate that's in this country, he turned this area into a winning economy, and he turned this area into a win. And that's what we do. We always prosper in the face of racism. And this is what we gotta know. Sistrunk Business Corridor is a product of segregation. Segregation in the books and in education was handed to us as something to make us feel small, make us feel puny. But as you can see, we not weak at all. We very strong, because if you look today, we have Sistrunk Boulevard, a main artery, right? A pivotal, a very, very, very pivotal and pillar district. And not only this, black community, not just here in Broward County, but in America, to the world. So like we saying, Sistrunk Business Corridor is its proper, esteemed, original name. It is a historical black business district that is the epicenter of black pride, power, Afrocentrism, and nationalism. And so what you seeing here is history. We walking in history. We walking down history. I'm taking footsteps where the bossiest of the bossiest, where the most successful of the successful, where the most triumphant of the triumphant, where the most mogul of moguls, where the most entrepreneurs of entrepreneurs, where the most owners of owners stepped every day. This an honor right here. This an honor. Black men and women and children owned and operated this community, and I'm walking the same sidewalks that they walked. I'm walking in the same footsteps and prints left behind by them when they were here, making an area like this possible for us today to live in. And don't ever get it messed up. This is a thriving community. It's not that it was a thriving community. It still is thriving. Still is. You can hear the activity. You can hear the noise. Look at the scenery. And there are a number and a myriad of black businesses in this area. Small mom and pop stores. And guess what? We getting closer and closer to where Providence Hospital used to sit. We getting closer and closer to where Providence Hospital was actually built and operated by, again, Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk. Not only is he a physician, he's a hero, he's an icon, he's a legend, he's a historian, and he's also a trailblazer for all black boys and men. So as you can see, we're coming up on a landmark. And again, Sistrunk Business Corridor is filled with a bunch of historical landmarks. Now, hold on, we're gonna look around. This is all historical landmarks. All of this. Everything you see around you is history. Everything you see around you is historical. So what that mean about us? We historical. We historical people. So you can't be mad at that. We historical. We historical. We historical. We icons, we legends in our own right. So again, Sistrunk Business Corridor is its proper, esteemed, original name. It is a historical black business district that is the epicenter of black pride, power, Afrocentrism, and nationalism. And you can see that. The boulevard, Sistrunk Boulevard, is lengthy and it goes into Federal Highway US 1, which is right down here and beyond on one end, and then it ends at MLK Jr. Avenue, which, really quick, that's all the way on the opposite end. And that's on the other end. So east is going into US 1, which this is going east. And y'all follow me. This is going east. And west ending at MLK Jr. Avenue, which we were just facing west. So this is facing east. So if you coming from downtown Fort Lauderdale, you coming from the east. And if you going towards MLK Jr. Avenue, you going west. So this is for everybody in the future that will be spending their black dollars here. That's why they call it the main artery. That's why they call it the heart and soul. They call this the Sistrunk Business Corridor the heart and soul of Fort Lauderdale. And we all know why. We know why. Because of the richness of black people and their ability to create a community, and not only a community, but create an economy. And that economy was created right here with Sistrunk Business Corridor. Let's go. And we're gonna keep it going, and we are near exactly where I want it to be. So like I said, Sistrunk is Fort Lauderdale's oldest, vibrant, proactive black community, fulfilled and comprised of mom and pop small businesses, historical landmarks, and strong, strengthened families. You can see it. You can see it in the people. It's in our walk. It's in our walk. That's why we walk as black people with so much pride. That's why we got so much strength. That's why we got so much resilience, so much vigor. Because we historical. Look, we filled with all this richness. All this is history. All of this is history. This cannot be denied, cannot be contested. This is incontestable. So let's get down to it. Sistrunk, and we're gonna cross the street for this one. Sistrunk Business Corridor recently had a $15 million infrastructure project executed with the funding deriving from city, county, and federal levels. Sistrunk is renowned for black art, music, and culture and entertainment for the black community. Sistrunk is the longest standing at the center of black culture and rich, triumphant, trailblazing heritage in Fort Lauderdale since the earliest Great Migration. And we're gonna keep going. And right here, take a great good look, because this is where the disgrace and the disrespect lies for the Sistrunk Business Corridor. And we're gonna get into the history of why this is such a conflict in this community that is of thriving black culture and history and heritage. So let's go. We're gonna cross this street, get over here safely. Now, from Georgia, South Carolina, and the Bahamas, more than 100 years ago, providing a close-knit community, providing living essentials, shared values of hard work, integrity, and faith. And just in case you got a little lost in that fact and in that history I was reading, I'm gonna read it again. Sistrunk is long standing at the center of black culture and rich, triumphant, trailblazing heritage in Fort Lauderdale since the earliest Great Migration from Georgia, South Carolina, and the Bahamas more than 100 years ago, providing a close-knit community, providing living essentials, shared values of hard work, integrity, and faith. And so now I'm right where I want to be. I'm right where I want to be. I'm in front of Providence Hospital, baby. The first black-owned and black-operated hospital that was built and operated and serviced black people, and the first black-owned and operated hospital in Broward County. We're gonna get a good shot. We're gonna get in front of it. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? This the community. That's that cohesiveness. That's them shared values they're talking about. That's that integrity. The elders are still here that were a part of this business corridor and this black economical haven in Broward County. This is a mecca. This is the black mecca of Broward County. And as you can see, an elder just passed me, and you show that respect from a younger generation who has no clue and no idea of the trailblazing that her generation did for me to be able to sit right here and speak about this historical, thriving, and mecca and epicenter of a black community in Broward County. Because she could tell me everything that was actually here and what it actually looked like. But there's even more people, there's even more elders that can tell us what it really was and what it really is when you are coming through these grounds, when you're coming through the Sistrunk Business Corridor, and what it truly represents for your toes and your feet and your shoes to follow and trace the footsteps of those who bossed it all the way up, who created an economical haven, an epicenter here for black people. So we're gonna turn. Now, sitting here is the location of where Providence Hospital used to stand. So we're gonna get back into the adversity and the conquering. The place where Sistrunk ends lies deeply at a traditional dividing line by whites. The dividing line where were and is the railroad tracks, which is just down here. We are gonna get down there soon. Known today as Northeast 6th Street because of a conflict. Sistrunk Boulevard is shared with another name that bears no meaning and no value called Northeast 6th Street. During segregation, blacks were forbidden from crossing over the railroad tracks after dark, which is downtown Fort Lauderdale. Crossing the tracks after dark resulted in brutal murdering. So right here what we have is, this is part of the funding that Sistrunk Business Corridor received, and you heard me mention it earlier, and so I'm gonna actually read it again. So Sistrunk Business Corridor recently had a $15 million infrastructure project executed with the funding deriving from city, county, and federal levels. And this is what came out of that $15 million infrastructure plan that came and was situated and intended for Sistrunk Business Corridor. Now, in that, we're going to get to the meat of why this YMCA that's newly being built is a disrespect and a disgrace to our black culture and history and heritage in this area, and just period. Because this is the YMCA. So, as the black community and as Sistrunk Business Corridor residents, what do we know about the YMCA? What do you really know about the YMCA? And if you don't know a lot about the YMCA, you will see why this structure being built here should not be tolerated or should not be allowed to be built on sacred black historical and rich heritage grounds. So we're gonna get into it. Now, from the time of its emergence, and this is the history of the YMCA in the United States, in 1852, the YMCA, which stands for the Young Men's Christian Association, excluded blacks from membership in its branches, but encouraged blacks to form their own associations and to join Christian Brotherhood on separate but equal until 1946. So the YMCA said to the black community and the black people that, hey, you're not allowed in our facilities, but you can form your own facilities where you will be allowed because they're yours, but at the same time we're going to remain separate and somehow be equal. Now, with that being said, that was until 1946. So you telling me infrastructure and an institution like this sitting on sacred black rich heritage grounds for 94 years did not allow black people in its membership. 94 years. It took 94 years for what we all know came into play, which was called integration, which you already know if you watch Martin Luther King and you listen to him closely. Put us inside of a burning house. And this is a representation of that. This community did not approve, and this is the truth about this process. This community did not approve of this YMCA being built here. And so we have residents that are new, that are coming here, and they are pushing and they are accepting a building like this, but they're not a part of this community. And one, they don't own it. This community belongs to black people. It's our community. But we have new residents from across the tracks that's coming in, and of course the city of Fort Lauderdale has made a decision to appeal to the new residents, but not the residents that built this business corridor into what it is today. And on top of that, let's hear from the CEO and president of the YMCA. Her name is Cheryl Woods. So let's talk about it. Cheryl Woods, this is her word. She said, "How do today's kids even know about Providence Hospital?" Remember, Providence Hospital, the first black owned and operated hospital that served black people in Broward County by Dr. James A. Franklin Sistrunk, who this boulevard is named after. Now, she said, how do today's kids even know about Providence Hospital if they don't have a grandparent, or if the grandparent doesn't talk about it? Well, guess what? This is how they know. When you have people of the culture talking about it and exposing it and letting the whole black community know that this business corridor, this place we call Sistrunk, this boulevard called Sistrunk Boulevard, is a black, historically black owned and operated community, and it's filled with black businesses. And those black businesses are the staple and the pillars of this community. And this is a self-sufficient community from the beginning, from its origin. And what was placed here was a hospital that actually serviced the needs of black people in the community. Because in our culture, we face a health crisis. And right now, in the midst of COVID-19, a YMCA and what it stands for and the type of institution it is, which is a racist one, does not help or advance or progress this community. It actually stifles it. So this is an intrusion on black culture. This is an intrusion on black heritage. And the residents in this area didn't have a say-so. This was very underhandedly done, but don't take it from me as somebody that is a proud member of this culture. Let's hear from people themselves that are figures politically, economically, and just socially. So, from the words of, and this message goes out to Commissioner Robert McKenzie. This is for you. This is a quote. It says, "We wanted a healthcare facility that would meet the needs of this population, which has high levels of hypertension, as I was saying, which has high levels of hypertension, obesity, cancer, and diabetes. The fact is, it should have been a center that would meet the health needs of a community." And when he say it should have been a center that would meet the health needs of a community, he didn't mean this YMCA that's being built unrighteously. And the health needs include economic, not just a social setting. And this is a quote in the words of Bobby R. Henry, Sr., the publisher of West Side Gazette. Again, this is the quote in words of Bobby R. Henry, Sr., the publisher of the black-owned and historical newspaper, West Side Gazette. Hey, shout out to Bobby R. Henry. Shout out to Bobby R. Henry. He deserves his accolades and his flowers. Now, we also have another quote, and this gets into more of the politics of how this building got here. Because again, it was not authorized by the residents of Sistrunk Business Corridor. It was underhandedly done. So like I said, this is a violation to black culture and a violation on black heritage. Now here we go. Nadine Hankerson. Nadine Hankerson is an economist who has worked with Africa and Caribbean cultures and countries. This is what Nadine Hankerson has to say, word for word. This is her quote. "My thing with the YMCA is probably one of the most racist organizations in America that has yet to do atonement for its racism. You sat there off of 14th Street for almost 4 decades. So this YMCA, this is a backstory to that quote. This YMCA is moving from another street in this area to this prime location. And what they're offering is the pool, a basketball gym, a state of the art. As you can see, I have a resident that's right here with me live. And you're welcome to join me too in the camera if you want to. But a pool, a gym, a state-of-the-art kitchen, what they are calling a culinary area, and they're going to offer some classes that's given by the Broward Community College. That's what it's called, BCC. So that's what they're going to have in here, and they're going to offer classes to this community. But guess what? Everything that's going to be in here has to be paid for. And if this is a community that doesn't make a strong enough median income to be able to afford a facility like this, this is just a social setting for other residents that's not from here and outside of here to come in and have a good time and leave and go that way, because we know they don't go this way. And I can get into that history. It's just a spot for others. And this is from a real resident. Now, this is Nadine Hankerson, economist. I'm gonna start again. She said, my thing with the YMCA is probably one of the most racist organizations in America that has yet to do atonement for its racism. You sat there off of 14th Street for almost 4 decades. You wouldn't even put in a paved parking lot. So you take a racist organization and you sit it on the land, and then you say, how great thou art. Come on, y'all. You gotta do better than that. The underhanded moves were moves that were made to generate an audience to support that YMCA. It really went against the grain of all those that sat down at the planning table of what we wanted to see on 6th Street. That really created a rift in the community. And this is from somebody that was actually there during this planning and development. First of all, YMCA has got to tell the truth, then move forward to ensure that the history that should be reflected in this spot is important and is locked down in history for another 100 years. Switch the brand. The brand is Provident, because Provident Hospital, the first black owned and operated hospital in Broward County that served black people, sat here. Switch the brand. The brand is Provident. Then Mizzle, then the YMCA. They've taken that brand and switched it. They've taken that brand and switched it. So talk about the disrespect to a community that's so rich in heritage, that's so self-sustainable, that is one of the oldest black communities in the United States. And not only that, the oldest black community right here in Broward County. This is a thriving community. It ain't stopped. That's how resilient our culture truly is. So again, when you talk about black dollars, black economics, Sistrunk Business Corridor was that and is that before that was even popular, before we even was born to know those terms. But when you see this YMCA, understand what's being done here. Understand what this truly represents. Remember, an organization that said they wanted to be separate but equal. So, that's delusional. You can't be separate and equal. Then, at the same time, didn't even allow black members into its institutions. And took 94 years for it to finally realize that what it was doing was inhumane to a human group. Not a race, a human group. So, again, I want to take this time to say, Cheryl Woods, tell the truth about this building and tell the truth about the organization. You the CEO and president. So this community that's owned by the people that's here deserves a lot more respect and a lot more diligence and a lot more honor than what this building thinks it is giving. And again, the commissioner of this area right now is Commissioner Robert McKenzie. Mr. McKenzie, if you didn't realize it before when you approved this, realize it now. This is a racist institution that's sitting on rich black soil. This is black history, this is black heritage, and this is a place that is owned and controlled, don't ever get it mistaken, by black people. And black dollars. You right about that. You right about that. So with that being said, there has to be a process given to this community before a Flagler Village residents, before any non-residents in this area, because of its history, what it means, its value. We know this is an opportunity to zone Mr. McKenzie, but this is not an opportunity for people to come in and exploit our culture and our heritage, and not only that, disrespect it. There has to be a level of respect between Sistrunk Business Corridor residents and these, let me address them now, Flagler Village residents that are new to this knowledge and new to this information. So you can no longer say, Mr. McKenzie, that this is not a color thing or this is not a racism, this is not a matter of race, because this is all a matter of race. And this community deserves a lot more honor than that. So we gonna keep it pushing. Just know that this is the actual grounds. This is the sacred grounds of Providence Hospital. Once again, I'm gonna read it word from word what Providence Hospital really is. Providence Hospital was co-founded, owned and operated by Dr. James Franklin, by Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk. Forgive me, ancestor. Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk, a very esteemed, trailblazing, iconic, legendary, and historical name. So there is no negative connotation that comes with the name Sistrunk Boulevard. And anybody that is not from Sistrunk Business Corridor, or anybody that hasn't been in this area or has been told that the name Sistrunk Boulevard comes with a negative or violent connotation, it's a lie. That's fraud. Because it's named after Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk, the first black physician in Broward County, who owned and operated a hospital by the name of Providence Hospital that literally serviced and was purposed for black people in this community. And now here sits a racist institution that's sitting on the grounds of rich black historical and heritage soil. And that is what you call politics. Because if you want to know the behind the scenes of this building, this land was owned by the city of Fort Lauderdale. And city of Fort Lauderdale granted Miss Cheryl Woods, the CEO and president of the YMCA, the land to build this. They granted them this. They granted them this. They granted them this. They were looking for an opportunity zone. They were looking for a place to build something new. And they went to the city of Fort Lauderdale commission office and they were talking, they was in discussion. And this is on record. You can actually read this for yourself on the city of Fort Lauderdale website. In that discussion, the city of Fort Lauderdale offered up, out of all the lands, this one. And just like we have seen historically, they took up the offer and they seized this land unrighteously and inhumanely from this community. Because this could have been anybody else in this community having an opportunity to build a business that will actually advance and that will actually progress this community right here. This is acreage. We could have a business plaza could have been settled here. A healthcare plaza could have been situated here. There could have been a number of businesses here, but today sits a YMCA. YMCA, which stands on Christianity, but again, excluded a group of people from his membership, and that's not Christian. If we following Christian ideology and Christianity, which so many black people again popularize and are a part of, then you would know that exclusion is not Christianity. God is not about exclusion. It's all people, not just one group. So we got to speak facts. Facts is facts. But this was not approved by the community. And that's all that I wanted to stop by here and show you as an outsider who will be coming here to support this community and spending your black dollars, but also know that this is Providence Hospital. I don't see a YMCA. It's here though, and it will continue to be built, but this is the location of Providence Hospital, the first black-owned, operated hospital by Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk, who Sistrunk Boulevard is named after. And it should be honored and put in glory of what that historian and with that trailblazer, that legend, that icon, this hero was able to do for his people. And we're gonna keep pushing. It's more assist trunk to see. It's more assist trunk to see. We doing the whole corridor. So, right here, like we said, we're passing past Providence Hospital. Providence Hospital sat right here. And don't ever forget it. The first black-owned and operated hospital in Broward County. Don't take that lightly. That's heavyweight. That's heavyweight. And so the issue is, with the black community, we have a lot of health problems. We have a lot of health issues. Before COVID-19, that wasn't the thing that was killing us. So a YMCA, although it has its intention of being a representation of health and fitness, it's a lot they're not telling us about that. Because they represented something else way before health and fitness, and that was prejudice, discrimination, racism, and again, separate but equal. That's the words of YMCA, who stands on Christianity. That don't seem so Christian to me. So let's go. We have more to go. So like we said, it's gonna be a myriad of black businesses in this area, and it's a lot of opportunity for black people, for black men and women to open up businesses in this area and to come definitely buy real estate in this area, because again, this is a historical black community, and it will continue to be rich. It will continue to thrive. It will continue to be active. So don't ever think that because there's development going on here that the residents are being displaced or pushed out, because there's actually something called the Community Reinvestment Act. That's what the CRA dollars is. And when you look at CRA, you will see that that's going to be plastered around here. Your CRA dollars at work. That means the Community Reinvestment Act. The Community Reinvestment Act started around 1974, 75. And what it states is that banks and financial institutions are required. They are required to improve and advance and do things and activities and programs for poor, underserved communities to make them better, since everybody in the poor community is involved in banking, because everybody in the community that's poor does have a bank account. Some do hold a bank account. So if a banking institution, such as one I can call out right now, Bank of America, which is actually located over here, Bank of America is held accountable for doing programs and giving to the poor community to make it better, because the money from the poor community is being deposited in their depositories, and that's how they have their reserves from the money of black people in the community. So we're in banking. Don't separate yourself. Sistrunk Business Corridor has to hold Bank of America and any surrounding financial and banking institutions accountable for what they're required to do annually. And that is, of course, handed down by the OCC. That's the Office of the Comptroller of Currency. And again, that's what, so when you see CRA dollars, the Community Reinvestment Act. So if you don't know what that is, just go read. We got Google now. CRA, Community Reinvestment Act. So let's keep it going. And we about to cross over into where Smitty's is located, and I would definitely have an episode on Smitty's coming sooner than later on Where's J Hodge, the Journey in these streets. So as you can see, it's a main artery, and this is where all the economical activity happens for this community, and the money that's being spent is being circulated right back through this community. This is history. This is richness, and we walking in it. We walking in richness. We walking in wealth, because this is a wealthy area. Don't ever get it mistaken. And so as you can see, we have a community event that's going on with Smitty's. Smitty's was actually part of the CRA. So Commissioner Robert McKenzie, I applaud you for Smitty's. I applaud you for giving you gave the stamp to have Smitty's in this community. And Smitty's is well appreciated. So although the community is gripe with the commissioners, Smitty's is one thing that actually was a part of that $15 million infrastructure. And that was approved by the commissioner, which is Robert McKenzie. So we're gonna cross so we can get a real good look. We're gonna get a real good look. So right here, we're about past the midway point, but it's a lot more to go. Now this is a new establishment, Smitty's. And I'm gonna wait to go across the street, but while we're here, we're gonna get some more insight. So this is Smitty Restaurant. Smitty's Restaurant, like I said, it was a part of the CRA, the Community Reinvestment Act, and it was approved by Robert McKenzie, the commissioner. Now Robert McKenzie is the acting commissioner, but Bobby DuBose was first. But Bobby DuBose is now, as I go through my notes, Bobby DuBose was the former commissioner, but now he's the House of Representative for Florida. He's the House of Representative. So shout out to Bobby DuBose for making it to the House of Representative seat. And you know what people put him there? It was these people in this area that voted for that man. But now, Commissioner Robert McKenzie, you have some expectations to meet, and you have honor to give and to serve to these people in the Sistrunk business corridor. And you gotta make it right, because that YMCA, that was wrong. You gotta make it right. So we're gonna wait to cross the street safely, because we're taking this all the way down to Sistrunk Marketplace, which once we get down to Sistrunk Marketplace and them railroads, I'll be able to expound on what it actually looked like and what they meant by not crossing the railroad tracks after dark during that dark period of racism. But like I said, a thriving community. You see, matter of fact, come on. Before we cross the street, take a good look one more time, right behind me. Take a good look. Take a good look.
Let's walk through our cradle.
This is a thriving community, and that's what we talk about. You see that? Thriving historical community. Take a good look. We out here, and this is black dollars that's being spent, and that's circulating through this community. So again, Commissioner Robert McKenzie, you did the right thing by putting a black business and allowing a black business to be in here, because it's a black businesses that should have been where Providence Hospital is, and the grounds of where Providence Hospital are. So as you can see, it's active, and it's always active. This is Smitty's, and it's active. Thriving community. Ain't no violence. Ain't no violence here. This is a thriving community. This is Smitty's. And again, this is part of the Community Reinvestment Act, the CRA, 1974. If you don't know, you should know. So shout out to Commissioner Robert McKenzie. And we going. So we gonna get it from this side. This is Smitty's. This is a business that was, again, approved by Commissioner Robert McKenzie as part of that $15 million infrastructure. And this is the reinvestment. So that's why YMCA shouldn't be here, because that's not a reinvestment in a community, in a black community, of black history, black heritage. This, a black business, is that equity. That's what does it. As Nadine Hankerson said, Well, actually, no. Bobby R. Henry, as he said, the fact is, it should have been a center that would meet the health needs of a community. And the health needs include economic, not just a social setting. This is an economic institution because Smitty's provides jobs to people in this area. And if we can get 20 to 30 more Smitty's, if we can get 20 to 50 more, 50 to 100 more Smitty's, guess what we have? Sistrunk Business Corridor back in full effect. It ain't never left. It ain't never died. So just take a good look. And everybody in Flagler Village, take a good look. Take a good look. Again. This is a long-standing center of black culture and rich, triumphant, trailblazing heritage in Fort Lauderdale. Since the earliest great migration from Georgia, South Carolina, and the Bahamas more than 100 years ago, providing a close-knit community. I'm just letting y'all know, providing a close-knit community, providing livable essentials, shared values of hard work, integrity, and faith. Sistrunk Boulevard. So we're gonna keep it going. We hitting the whole boulevard, the whole strip. Because it's more to see. So we're gonna wait to cross the street safely. And like we said, we in front of Smitty's right now. Smitty's came by way of the CRA. But we gonna cross. So that's one example of what Sistrunk Boulevard represents. That's one illustration. Now take that and multiply it through the entire community. Because if I'm gonna tell you the truth, this is every day. If it's not active like that at Smitty's, then you see neighbors out here talking and embracing each other. So that talk about violence and that talk from Flagler Village residents saying that this come with a negative connotation and it's a negative meaning. There's nothing negative about a black man being the first black physician in Broward County and starting his own hospital called Providence Hospital. And now in his absence, he has his own boulevard and community called the Sistrunk Business Corridor in a whole artery of a street called Sistrunk Boulevard. So that's what we have here. This is where you come when you come to Florida. So black people, Miami Beach, cut it out. Fort Lauderdale Beach, cut it out. We got our own spot. We do. It's called Sistrunk Business Corridor. And this is not allowed. Listen to it. Listen. This is culture. This is the sights, sounds of culture, of a rich culture. Nobody is down. Nobody walking around here with their head down. So we're not gonna allow Flagler Village or the YMCA to have us walking around Sistrunk Business Corridor with our heads down. For what? It's too rich. The heritage is too rich. The culture is too strong. Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk is too important, too critical. Talking about Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk. Let's go in, Versailles.
We're in build-out right now, so it's a
Okay.
sneak preview. My name is Grace Poole. I'm the director of Destination.
Oh, come here.
How you doing? What's
How
your
you
name?
doing? I'm Jay Hodge.
Jay Hodge. You got
Jay
a show
Hodge.
going on here?
Yes.
Oh,
This is
how
actually
about-
my first episode, my new segment.
What's your show
It's
called?
called 10 Toes Down in Your Stomach Grams.
Do you have a location where you do things?
So I'm highlighting all the historical black communities. So I'm traveling around.
Historical black neighborhoods throughout
I'm
Broward County?
throughout the United States.
Oh,
next I'm going to Wilmington, North Carolina, and that's a sneak peek for all y'all watching.
How you doing? Thank you for visiting.
So what is your name once again?
I'm
Proper
Grace
introduction.
Poole. I am, this is Destination Sistrunk, our welcome center. It's a cultural heritage tourism program that's a public-private partnership with Broward County Cultural Division and Destination Sistrunk Cultural and Community Investment Partnership. We're the headquarters for exploring and discovering Black heritage and culture in Broward County. We have a partnership with the Greater Fort Lauderdale Convention and Visitors Bureau, and we're just like a headquarters, a spot where that's Black centered, where we can be Black, working with other people. It's about artist development. It's about inviting residents and visitors. So we're in the build out stage. So this is called the circuit, and you see we have an activity going on in here right now. We just did the sound treatment, it was amazing. And then we have a gallery that's going in place, the Albert A. Tucker Black Art Gallery, which is in honor of our co-founder Albert A. Tucker, who is the former, he passed away last year. He was our co-founder, and he was the vice president of business and multicultural tourism development for the Greater Fort Lauderdale Convention and Visitors Bureau, known around the world, known by our blessed brother L.C. Hastings, all part of that connecting network. This is part of his vision. So we're going to be opening up the Albert A. Tucker Black Art Gallery within the next 3 months on the first floor and the second floor, and then we're working with his son, Sir Julian James, who was featured in Rolling Stones with the marches in DC, who is also commissioned by Apple. He's going to be commissioning some work of that we're supporting in the neighborhood. So we have a lot going on in here. I would love to catch up with you another time. I ain't trying to take your stuff over. I just, what y'all doing?
But this is the spontaneous nature of this show.
We have artist development here as well. We have an oral history program. So it's real that full thing, because in our historical Black neighborhoods, right, our assets are our arts, culture, history, and heritage. And there's so much that we bring to our neighborhoods that we have embedded in our neighborhoods as part of segregation that we don't have the opportunity to promote, and we don't get the investment that we're supposed to get like they invest in other areas. So this is a way of bringing that together to talk about the economic value of who we are, what we do for the $90 billion in Black tourism dollars that runs through this country every year, in addition to the global connectivity that we need to have with the Black dollars. So we know where it's safe for us to go, be who we are, be able to gauge with people who are comfortable being with us and not having to change our story. So, hey, thanks for
and this is all off of one man, Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk.
We have more things happening going on here now.
There is no negative connotation. There is no. We can't allow non-residents and people outside of our culture to dictate the value of our communities. This is Sistrunk Business Corridor. Do you see the businesses? Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk, the first Black physician operating on his own hospital, co-founded the Provident Hospital. Right down here where this YMCA that's gonna unrighteously sit. But for the most part, you can see that Sistrunk has never died. Sistrunk is thriving. It's nothing but opportunities, but those opportunities have to go to us. It can't go to a YMCA. It can't go to a Sherrod Woods. In the city of Fort Lauderdale, you have to recognize that. This is too rich. The heritage is too rich. We too triumphant. And this is Sistrunk Business Corridor. And that's its proper esteemed name. The Sistrunk Business Corridor. One of the oldest, richest Black communities filled with rich heritage in America, not just in Broward County, in America.
Hey,
how you doing?
Did you go to Eula Johnson's over there?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
So this is Greg Reed.
Hi, Gregory.
Mr. Reed is
my name is Jay Hodge.
Gregory Reed.
And right now you're on my show. It's called 10 Toes Down in your stomach grounds.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
And I'm going to let you go, but Mr. Reed is the chair of the Broward Cultural Council.
Okay.
And I'll let you share a little bit of what's that all is about. And then Mr. Reed has an exhibition coming up. He's part of our opening exhibition for the Albert A. Tucker Black Art Gallery.
Okay.
But it's pretty prolific, Mr. Reed's work with the county cultural division, because he's overseeing a council where how many black chairs have we had with the council since 1976? 2?
Two.
One,
Well,
two. You.
I don't myself.
I think Edith. Maybe two.
Maybe two.
Very few.
Okay.
All right. Thank
Two.
you so much.
Thank you.
Yoga.
Thank you.
How you doing? Good. I saw you at it was a funeral, and you were doing yoga on the beach.
Oh,
That was about 3-4 months ago.
wow, like I be doing so many stuff.
Yeah, I understand.
So
what's going on?
what do you want to tell the public and
good memories.
the rest of the black community that hasn't been to Sistrunk Business Corridor? What do you want to tell them about this area, as far as what you know and your history and your experience of seeing this area transform back into its original state?
Get involved in something. Do yourself a favor and get involved in your own community. Don't just sit at home. Don't just watch television. Don't just play games. No matter what your age group is, from your high school, from your junior high school to your senior high school, at your college level, you need to participate. You need to get involved in something that is your passion. If you are involved in the arts, get involved. And it is absolutely nothing wrong with volunteering. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you finding a space where you are comfortable, where you can help somebody else excel. So your goal is to help yourself, but to also help others. When you help others, you move the community forward. So if you have a song that you've written, if you've got a movie that needs to be written, if you need to shoot something, shoot it. Get it done and move about. Do exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Create the show,
Yep.
move the show forward. You have no idea what happens when you take your space, your time, your energy, and you now give it to one person. That one person now expands out that energy level that you're kicking out, and now it helps the community, and everything contributes. Do good. Do something positive. Can I
Exactly.
say anything else?
Well, right now I was in the middle of addressing the conflict that was happening when the old commissioner, Bobby DuBose, was the commissioner of this area, who's now House of Representatives. They were battling with the name of Sistrunk Boulevard, taking over the Northeast 6th Street name. And a lot of the Flagler residents said that they didn't want Sistrunk Boulevard to go beyond Northeast 6th Street naming because of the connotation and the bad reputation that Sistrunk Boulevard has.
What?
But
I don't know that it has a bad connotation.
and that has been my point. Say it again.
It does not have a bad connotation.
It doesn't.
It just is. Now, so if you take the name Sistrunk and you put it out there and you understand what Sistrunk stands for, then there is nothing bad about the connotation of that name.
So you have to be educated. All those in Flagler all you Flagler Village residents, you have to be educated, but you have to show respect. You don't have to fear black people if you respect the culture. That's it. And this is named again after Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk, the first black physician in Broward County who co-founded his own hospital that serviced the health needs of his people. What's negative about that?
When you wouldn't. When your community would not service someone, now this person comes along and makes it a positive thing. All you have to do is find the positive and kick the positive out.
You sound like
And
you
there
know
we
about-
have it.
What do you know about
There we have it.
Sistrunk?
Oh man.
What do you know about?
Oh.
You sound like he knows.
You know
something.
more.
What do you know about
Yeah, what can you
Sistrunk?
expound on about Sistrunk?
Well, I'm just
Dr.
saying
Sistrunk.
that-
Dr. Sistrunk.
Just imagine all of the number of people that needed care in a community that could not get it.
Right.
Look at the man that decided that not only will I help, but I'm going to put my own resources together. He didn't work alone, so now an entire community came around that hospital and did good for an entire community. That's what we have to do. Continue on. Carry on.
All right. And you heard it from the elder himself. And this is Sistrunk. This is Sistrunk Business Corridor. Now understand, this was not a part of my show. I didn't call anyone. I didn't organize or structure any of this. I'm showing you the true ingredients and the true DNA of this community. This is what it's been since the beginning. This is the origin. Black power. Black encouragement. Like it says, share values of hard work integrity, and faith. And all you heard was hard work, integrity, and faith of a historical black community that's powerful, that's valuable, that's wealthy. So you have to come to Sistrunk Business Corridor when you come to Florida as a black man or woman. You have to. This is where you should be spending your money. And to all you Flagler Village residents, let me tell you something. And specifically to the ones in the article that I read. So Andrew Byer, a Flagler Village resident, Andrew Byer, you're wrong. You're wrong. And the statements and the claims that you made were fraudulent, because that's not a true representation of Sistrunk. You don't even know Sistrunk. You haven't been here. And the reason that y'all don't come past them railroad tracks, the reason you don't come past Sistrunk Boulevard Marketplace is because you don't have no respect. And just like with any community, just like with any tribe, just like with any village, it don't matter where you go in the world. If you don't respect the grounds, and if you don't respect those people, and they sense that, that's what you get. You get what you get in response. So you could very much walk your dog through Sistrunk Boulevard. As long as you showing respect, you can very much so come here and bring family here into the Sistrunk Business Corridor. As long as you're showing respect. For Ed Waterman, another Flagler Village resident, you're wrong. The claims and the statements that you made were fraudulent, because this is very much so about color, about race. But you don't understand the cultural group, and you don't understand the history. Everybody that spoke, that's a Flagler Village resident. Andrew Byer, you're miseducated. Ed Waterman, you're miseducated. And you're making an assumption. And you know what we say about assumptions. You know what they say about assumptions. You don't want to make that of yourself. So that's what you did when you actually spoke on a community and a people that you're not even fully educated about. You know what we could do with opinions and where they can be put. So let me get to the next person as we continue down Sistrunk Boulevard. And trust me, you can see how lengthy it is. You can see why it's the artery, why it's a main attraction, why it thrived naturally, and why black people and black residents are the backbone, are the joints, is the heartbeat, and everything required for a body to move and operate. That's what the black residents are in this place. So you can see why. And what our elders just spoke about today was very powerful. What's developing in this area by black people is very powerful. And come be a part of it. No matter where you are from. No matter where you are from as a black person, come be a part of it. Come be a part of it, because this is the love. Tell me a little something.
This used to be Omar Supermarket. Not Omar Supermarket, but this used to be Bass Brothers.
Okay.
And Bass Brothers is where all these local community people, all the people that can't travel on wheelchairs and all that in these buildings right behind here, that they just built the little Section 8 buildings, assisted living buildings. Right. Bass Brothers used to be right here, and that's where everyone used to go.
Okay.
But they opened the Family Dollar right over there.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
They annexed this here. That's what the thing is about Sistrunk. They annexed Sistrunk, and they bought this right here. I was the building we just left from. I was a part of going to the city hall and actually petitioning to keep Bass Brothers here. It's going to be a parking garage. So, like you said, who is that going to benefit?
Truth to power. So, Commissioner Robert McKenzie, I'm sorry, man. Look at the back of my shirt. Come on, man. You got to boss up. I'm sorry, you do. black power is too real. And it's not, black power is not a violent intent on any other group. It's about economic power. That's what black power truly means, economic power. So maybe to make people realize what black power represents or stands for, we need to say black economic power. But we remove the economics out of it, because once we control our area and where we live, and once we control our own businesses, we don't even need to, that's economics. And this is purely economical. But outside of that, Dean Trentalis, former commissioner and now mayor, I want to talk to you, because you were an integral part in Sistrunk Boulevard conflict as far as the name running down its rightful place. This whole strip, this entire mileage, this entire length and distance is Sistrunk. How can that be contested by new residents? New residents who have no education and who are misguided and miseducated about a people in a community. They do not own Sistrunk Business Corridor. I don't care how affluent you may think they are on paper. They are not productive, or they are not conducive to the community of Sistrunk Business Corridor. So with that being said, you have to give, and should have given, as mayor, Dean, what's his name? Dean Trentalis. The people of Sistrunk deserves a lot more leverage than what they was given. A lot more leverage than what they was given. And for every community issue that happens in Sistrunk and with Sistrunk Boulevard, the people in this community, the black people who built this community, rightfully deserves priority over all residents. Over all residents. No matter where they're located, because this, again, is still Sistrunk Boulevard. Northeast 6th Street is Sistrunk Boulevard. So let's stop the nonsense. Let's stop the nonsense about the name, because the name is named after a very esteemed and valuable person in history. An icon, a legend, a trailblazer, a historian. So with that being said, there could be no shame and there can be no dishonor in the name Sistrunk Boulevard. If it's a negative connotation, it's because residents outside of this community has created that. They have created that negativity by not giving the proper due respect. Hey, City of Fort Lauderdale, if this area is known by being historically violent at some point, I wonder what that's contributed to. Maybe the lack of economical resources in this area. There's an origin for everything. And the people that know that's at the origin of it, you know who you are. So City of Fort Lauderdale, it's not that Sistrunk Boulevard or Sistrunk Business Corridor is a violent area, is a violent place. Let me tell you this, Flagler Village residents, it's not that it's a violent place. It's that it's a neglected place. The City of Fort Lauderdale failed this community during a period of time. Let's call it what it is. They failed this community. That's called failure. That's called poor leadership. That's called incompetence. Incompetence.
Church's Chicken used to be right here. And Sistrunk Festival used to go all the way from here, even past here, but all the way from here, all the way down to 31st. Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Martin Luther King Boulevard. And that's, like I said, that's the history of Sistrunk Boulevard. If I'm not scared to walk it, should no other black man or woman be scared to walk it? I'm out here live. I'm with my people. What do I have to be scared of my culture for? So all you Miami Beach people, all you Fort Lauderdale Beach people, that's black, that spend your money with businesses that don't respect you or your culture, don't be scared to come into Sistrunk Business Corridor. This is a beautiful, magnificent place, regardless to what any non-resident has to say. And that's downtown Fort Lauderdale, just in the distance. Just in the distance. This, just in the distance, is downtown Fort Lauderdale. That shows you in proximity how close this neighborhood is to the very people that despise this community and that neglects this community and tries to degrade and demean this community. Like the Flagler Village residents, like Dean Trentalis, who acts like he is not competent enough to understand the historical nature of Sistrunk Business Corridor. Like Commissioner Robert McKenzie, who acts like he is not competent enough to understand and to comprehend what a YMCA represents and actually stands for by standing on black historical grounds. So everybody has to be held responsible and accountable. Miss Shora Woods, the CEO and executive of YMCA, why would you even, how could you even fix your mouth to say, how would kids know in this area about Providence Hospital? How can we preserve, Miss Shora Woods, I'm not gonna say anything that is too explicit, but I will say this. People that look like you has had a hand in really suppressing and smothering that history and building a new YMCA facility further aids and abets in racism. So you, as the CEO and president of the YMCA here in South Florida, you aid and abet in racism by allowing that to be built on that land. I mean, let's take a look. What about this land? What was wrong with this lot? How about this one? Because one thing we can say is that this is city owned. Most of these lands are city owned. How about here? It's still Sistrunk, but guess what? It's not on historical grounds. It's not on sacred, heritage-driven, origin grounds. That's where Providence Hospital lies. Just because it's not up in its physical form doesn't mean the spiritual essence of what it represented is not throughout this community. Come on, man. I'm not a pastor, I'm not preaching. But to the city of Fort Lauderdale, to the commissioner, Robert McKenzie, to Flagler Village residents, to Dean Trentalis, the mayor, as a new resident of Florida, I see the flaws and I see the fraud. I see the flaws and I see the fraud. And this community, like I said, Sistrunk, is too rich in history. Too rich in history. It's too valuable. And it's way too important and critical to the black culture. Longshoremen. So what does this represent? Longshoremen. Union. Okay. A lot of black people work out here. Okay.
And they've been able to have a job for longevity as opposed to getting hired, fired because of the union. Okay. And no more unions. Even the teachers union, no more unions.
No more unions. Dean Trentalis, Commissioner Robert McKenzie, why are there no more unions? Hey, Flagler Village residents, why are there no more unions? Because you can critique and condemn and criticize a community, but you don't have any solutions or answers for the things that you all are causing. So, yeah, if there's any fear about Sistrunk and Sistrunk Boulevard, I'm pretty sure is linked and tied to the injustices that the mayor himself has done in this community, that Robert McKenzie, the commissioner, has done with this community, and Also with the Flagler Village residents who don't come past a certain point of Sistrunk Boulevard because you don't respect the culture. You're not fully educated, you're misguided, you're misled, and you rather be blissful in ignorance than live in truth. Because nothing in this live episode has curtailed or it made me exempt for anything happening. And I'm showing you the truth of Sistrunk Business Corridor. This is a rich, triumphant, valuable, wealthy, thriving, historical black community. And look, just look, we out. Just look how far this is. Okay, we coming up on the tracks. We're coming up on the tracks. So this is still Sistrunk Boulevard. And nobody is gonna tell the Sistrunk residents or anybody from that's of the culture, of the black culture, anything different. So this is good, okay? They have a structure here. But when we talk about real estate, did a black developer get his shot? Dean Trentalis as mayor, did a black developer get his shot at being able to build this residence for, of course, all communities to enjoy the leisure and the essence of Sistrunk Business Corridor and Sistrunk Boulevard? But is this a black developer's hands? Is this majority owned by black partners? I know a little bit about everything. I act local, but I'm so global. Is there a black developer or any black partners in this building? So when you talk about Sistrunk Business Corridor and you talk about this thriving, strengthened, cohesive community of, again, hard work values, integrity values, faith values, self-sufficient, self-sustaining, nobody has left, nobody is displaced. And now we're getting to the thick of it. Here we go. This is the tracks. This is exactly what I was talking about. This is it. We are nearing and we are here. Because as you can see, there's a landscape difference. Because this is the privilege. This is the privilege that's not given to the people who actually own and operate this area, which is Sistrunk Business Corridor descendants, black people, the black community. And this is it. Because unlike you Flagler Village residents, people from Sistrunk Business Corridor that live here and have lived here for years, they're not scared to go anywhere. They're not scared to go in their own community like you all are, and they're not scared to come into yours. And that is, like I said, Dean Trentalis, you responsible because you failed. Robert McKenzie, Commissioner Robert McKenzie, you failed. Because this is not about your personal successes. You made it to the seats that you made it to. But what about the people? So let's look at this difference. Here we have it. So now it's finna get real raw and uncut now. First of all, let me get, hold on. Sistrunk. That there, that's pride. That there, that's culture. That name right here, that's a trailblazing, heroic, iconic, legendary, historical name. There's nothing negative about that name. There's nothing but honor and integrity and hard work in that name. There is nothing violent about this name. There's nothing poor about this name. This is a name filled with much wealth and vigor. Something that none of the forefathers of this country ever had. So let's talk about it. We are in Sistrunk Business Corridor. So Dean Trentalis, when you see that name, understand what it represents. Commissioner Robert McKenzie, come on, man. Understand what that represents. And to all you Flagler Village residents, understand what this here represents. Again, let's go through the history. Sistrunk, named after the leader, hero, icon, legend, historic black man, Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk. Broward County's first black physician trailblazer who co-founded the first black hospital named Providence Hospital in Broward County that he also operated. Sistrunk Business Corridor is its proper esteemed original name. It is a historical black business district that is the epicenter of black pride, power, Afrocentrism, and nationalism. Let's go. So this is something that I have to do. This is something that's very valor. This is something that is very necessary and a necessity, because I'm going to cross the tracks. I'm going to cross the tracks because this is my community. I'm going to cross the tracks because this is Sistrunk Boulevard. I'm going to cross the track because so many of my ancestors was told they couldn't cross the tracks. But Flagler Village residents want to sit here and say that this is not about race. Because unlike Flagler Village residents, Dean Trentalis, Commissioner Robert McKenzie, they said that black folks of this community that built this entire lengthy street and made it its attraction in the economical haven could not cross these tracks right here. And if you did, you died. Flagler Village residents, those were mostly people that mostly look like y'all. White people. That's what this represents. These tracks are racism. I'm staring it in his face. But guess what? We're gonna stomp on it too. Because we crossing the tracks. We crossing the tracks. I have nothing but pride. I'm on Sistrunk Boulevard. What do I have to be shameful of? Why do I have to look at that name and say I'm in an area that's filled with poverty? It's nothing but wealth. And that's what we just did. This is the wealth. We are on wealthy grounds. Now, we're going to come back across the tracks where a lot of people are scared to go, but you shouldn't be if you have respect. And if you are fully educated and aware of Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk, the first black physician in Broward County, who single-handedly, along with his partners and this community, built an esteemed area in an esteemed district and business corridor. So let me front face Sistrunk Marketplace, please. Oh, so as we end today's episode of 10 Toes Down in Your Stomach Grounds, I want to say this on the behalf and for Sistrunk Business Corridor and its residents. All of you from Flagler Village and beyond, this is still Sistrunk Boulevard. It doesn't stop. It goes across US 1. It is the heart and soul of Fort Lauderdale, and it's the main artery in Fort Lauderdale that connects downtown to the inner city. So with that being said, let me get back to the guys at hand. Andrew Byer, you come here. Ed Waterman, I'm sure you come here. And all you other white residents, I'm sure you come here. And as we sit and look at the landscape of Sistrunk Marketplace and who's here eating and enjoying their time, it's people that have no business criticizing or critiquing a community that wasn't purposed for you. So if you're gonna come here and spend your money, do that respectfully. And also, if you're gonna continue to go deep into the community and you wanna get a real understanding and get educated about the community, do so respectfully. Because there is no violence that lies. I just walked the entire Sistrunk Boulevard for what it is. And I can keep going all the way down to US 1 because that's still Sistrunk Boulevard. I can cross past US 1 and that's still Sistrunk Boulevard. But as you can see, there's a distinct difference in leverage and privilege. So when we talk about racism, racism is these train tracks which all you Flagler Village residents and other non-residents, you have no problem crossing and coming in. But you said you have reservations about getting out and actually learning and stumping your feet on the grounds of so many historical black men and women who single-handedly as a collective built this community, Sistrunk Business Corridor. So let me give you once again, let me give you another insight into your history. Because we was told by Flagler Village residents in articles that one, this place represents a negative and violent meaning and message. But what's more violent than this? From the time of its emergence in the United States in 1852, the YMCA, Young Men's Christian Association, excluded blacks from membership in its branches, but encouraged blacks to form their own associations and to join Christian Brotherhood on separate but equal until 1946. So that's 94 years. So we did exactly what the other culture in this country prides itself on, being separate but equal. But guess what? This story is a representation of this community. We built our community separately, which means we don't share the same values and principles as you non-residents of Sistrunk Business Corridor. But we have similarities in some of the values and principles that we have as a people. But you wouldn't know that if you are prejudiced and discriminative and you think that coming past this place, which again is named after a black man, a black physician, the first black physician in Broward County, you come to Sistrunk Marketplace and you enjoy its amenities, but you disrespect its meaning, its value, its actual representation, what it symbolizes. Because again, this is still named after Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk. Named after the leader, hero, icon, legend, historic black man, Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk, Broward County's first black physician trailblazer, who co-founded the first black hospital named Provident Hospital in Broward County that he also operated. His name is bared on his building. So when we talk about respect, respect goes further than spending your money here, but then having a foul mouth and saying very fraudulent claims and statements about black people in this black community that you are enjoying the amenities of. So Dean Trentalis, as the mayor, you have failed thus far as a leader. You are an incompetent leader, because a competent leader would know what Sistrunk Boulevard really means and would educate the non-residents of its true symbolism. Commissioner Robert McKenzie, if you don't know about YMCA, you should know its history and its origin and educate our people, black people, on what the YMCA truly symbolizes and represents and why it shouldn't be on sacred black historical heritage, rich, wealthy grounds. And to Commissioner Robert McKenzie, also, in addition to that, we do appreciate your great decision making as a leader on certain aspects of this community, but understand, to the city of Fort Lauderdale, you are also frauds and you are also failures as leaders, because this community fell into a rut and fell into poverty because it has been neglected financially, from resources, financially. And the last time I checked, the city of Fort Lauderdale controls where money goes. The city has a budget. And guess what? You never open your budget to the Sistrunk Business Corridor, the one district in place that made Fort Lauderdale a economical haven and a burgeoning place and attraction. But again, so all you Flagler Village residents, city of Fort Lauderdale, Dean Trentalis, the mayor, and Commissioner Robert McKenzie, take a good look at the name that's brandished on this building and understand and get it clear through your mind its symbolism and what it stands for and it represents. This is triumph. This is what it looks like, Sistrunk. This is what success looks like, Sistrunk. This is what a booming economy looks like, Sistrunk Boulevard, Sistrunk Business Corridor. This is what heritage, this is what richness, this is what wealth, this is what stealth, this is what strength, this is what pride, nationalism really truly looks like. This is the living body of it, Sistrunk Business Corridor. And like I say, today we was in Sistrunk Business Corridor. This is Sistrunk Boulevard. And again, this is named after Dr. James Franklin Sistrunk, the hero, the icon, the legend, the historian, the trailblazer himself, along with his co-founders, and of course, all of us that make up the black community and our own cultural group, black people. But we don't ask for respect. We demand our respect. And for that, we are gonna take it. And so for this episode, we're ending it in Sistrunk Business Corridor, and this has been the ending of 10 Toes Down in your stomping grounds. 10 Toes Down in your stomping grounds. Get me. This is the end of 10 Toes Down in your stomping grounds.
Why not? Why not?